The biggest thing holding most people back from the life, business, and success they want is not their strategy, team, or even the market. Obviously, all of that is important, but what's the one thing that directly determines how you show up, the way you make decisions, and how you follow through? It's the way that you think. I'm Byron Morrison. I'm the author of Think Like a CEO. And after working with CEOs in 18 countries, what I found is there's 6 ways of thinking that separates the CEOs who scale from everyone else. And that's what I'm going to break down for you in this video as we dive into 6 ways CEOs think differently and how you can too. The first is they think in terms of solutions, not problems. Because when something goes wrong, what most people do is they get pulled straight into the problem. They focus on what happened, why it happened, who caused it, why it's frustrating, or why it's unfair. And while that reaction is understandable, most of that thinking, it doesn't actually change anything. After all, what's done is done. And that's why all that actually matters is, what are you going to do about it? One of the core ideas in my book, Think Like a CEO, is there's a huge difference between a reaction and a response. A reaction is impulsive and driven by emotion, whereas a response is processed and controlled. The problem with reactions is your emotions start driving your thinking, frustration clouds your judgment, and stress makes everything feel bigger than it actually is. And the reality is there's no way you can think clearly, make the right decisions, or handle situations as your best self when you're in that heightened state. That's why so often you can find yourself looking back even more frustrated, as you know that if you were calm, you would have handled the situation completely differently. Not only that, but when you're fixated on the problem, it can also blind you from potential solutions. So instead of figuring out a way forward and what you need to do about it, you start wasting all of your time and energy mentally replaying the problem over and over again. That's why CEOs recognize that you can't always control what happened, but the one thing you can control is how you choose to respond to it. So whenever you find yourself dealing with a problem, facing a challenge or a setback, it's so important that instead of reacting, you force yourself to slow down, take a deep breath, and then ask yourself, what do I need to do about this? What are my options? What's within my control? That's how you shift your focus from the past and the problem to potential solutions and how you need to move forward. That doesn't mean ignoring your emotions or pretending things don't affect you, but it does mean not letting your emotions dictate your actions or allowing them to make the decision for you about what you do next. The second way that CEOs think differently is they think several steps ahead. You see, when it comes to making decisions, the way that most people live life is they prioritize what they want in the moment, whether it's comfort, pleasure, or avoiding pain. So often what they're overlooking is they're essentially picking what they want right now instead of what they want most. I'll give you a really easy to follow health example. It's like someone who wants to lose weight, but instead of sticking to their diet, they sabotage their progress by giving in to temptation in the moment, by giving into that burger or having that cookie. Again, their focus is on what they want right now, and they're choosing that over what they want long term. And I see this all the time in business as well. Like when someone avoids a difficult conversation they don't want to have because of the discomfort that comes with it, then 6 months later, they're dealing with a much bigger, more expensive version of the same problem. The issue with both of these examples is the person is focused on the initial action and what they don't want to deal with or the thing they want in the moment rather than the longer term consequences that come with repeating the same behaviors or their inaction. And this way of thinking applies to actions and decisions that you make daily in every area of your life. That's why if you look at how top CEOs make decisions, they recognize that the longer term goals require short term loss, pain, or sacrifice, like a big investment or pivot in a company. If they just looked at the initial decision, it would be easy to talk themselves out of it as they'd want to avoid losing money or taking a risk. By looking at the bigger goals and targets and thinking 5 steps ahead, though, they can see that actually this is what needs to happen in order to get to where they want to be. So they can look at the payoff 12 months from now and use that to guide their decisions. So they're making decisions based on where they want to get to, not based on where they are. That's what makes the uncomfortable initial decision or action far easier to deal with. The third way that CEOs think differently is they think in terms of reversible and irreversible decisions. So many people stay stuck because they treat too many decisions like they're final. And because they're viewing them that way, there's a huge amount of pressure that causes them to overthink, delay, or they get stuck in analysis paralysis where they want certainty before they act. Jeff Bezos has a really great framework for this, where he talks about viewing decisions in two ways: one-way doors and two-way doors. A one-way door is a decision that once it's made, it's hard or impossible to reverse. In these situations, it deserves careful thought and consideration before you take action. A two-way door, though, is a decision where once you make it, if you don't like the outcome or situation you're in, then you can just go back or change it. The mistake that most people make is they treat two-way doors like one-way doors. And because of it, they then waste a huge amount of time and mental energy overthinking things that they could have simply tested, learned from, and adjusted. That's why the question to always ask yourself when you're stuck is this actually a one-way door, or am I treating it like one because I'm scared of getting it wrong? Because realizing you can change your mind can take a huge amount of pressure off you, especially when you stop viewing all decisions as big life-altering choices and instead you start viewing them as for what they actually are, which is ways to try something and gather information. The fourth way that CEOs think differently is they focus on what they can influence and not what they can't. This sounds really obvious, and most people would say they already know this, but knowing it and actually living it are two very different things. And for a lot of people, they waste a huge amount of mental energy over things that they have no control over. Whether it's market conditions, competitors, what someone else thinks, whether the timing is perfect. Now, just to be clear, awareness obviously matters and you need to understand the environment you're in, but there's a big difference between understanding what's happening around you and actually doing something useful with that information. Because for a lot of people, what happens is they start worrying about it in a way that absolutely nothing changes. And this is where they get trapped. Because the more uncertain things feel, the more their attention gets pulled towards what they can't control. And while they're stuck there, the things they could actually influence, they start to slip. I see this all the time where people get stuck in their own head, replaying conversations they can't change, or they're worrying what someone else is going to think about a decision that they've already made, or they're obsessing over the market or what their competitor is doing while neglecting the very actions that would put them in a stronger position. The issue isn't awareness, it's how much energy people waste on things that they were never in a position to move in the first place. The CEOs who operate well under pressure, though, they quickly get clear on what's actually within their influence, and then they use that to determine where their energy goes and what they focus on next. Because once you understand your energy is limited, that's when you can stop being casual with where you spend it. It's one of the fastest ways to drain yourself is to keep wasting your bandwidth on things that are out of your control. The fifth way that CEOs think differently is they view failure as information, not catastrophe. So many people delay taking action because they're afraid of failure. So they hold back, they over-prepare, or they wait until they feel more ready. And underneath all of that, what's really going on is they're afraid of what it means if they try and it doesn't work. Because for most people, failure doesn't just feel like a setback, it feels like evidence. Evidence that they're not good enough, that they're not ready, or they're not cut out for it. So instead of risking that outcome, they delay. And what makes this so expensive is people tell themselves that they're being thoughtful, when really they're avoiding the emotional cost of getting it wrong. Because the longer you avoid taking action, the more likely you create a different kind of failure. The failure of the opportunity you never took, the skill you never built, the version of yourself that never emerged because you were too busy trying not to get it wrong. The way that CEOs think about failure, though, is they view it as a stepping stone towards where they want to get to. After all, failure brings information, and you can use that information to make better decisions or to figure out what to focus on next, which is why often the biggest breakthroughs come from the failures that you make along the way. as you need things not to work out to help you figure out what needs to be adjusted or done differently next time. And no amount of overthinking gives you that as clearly as action does. That's why failure is only a bad thing if you don't learn from it and you keep making the same mistakes over and over again. The sixth way that CEOs think differently is they separate their identity from a single outcome. This is probably the most important one because it's what makes everything else sustainable. You see, most people, without realizing it, tie their sense of self to how things turn out. A bad decision becomes proof about who they are. A failed project becomes proof they're not capable. A difficult period becomes proof they're losing their edge. And once that happens, the cost of any setback goes way beyond the result itself. Now it's personal. It hits their confidence. It damages their momentum. They lose their self-trust and their willingness to take the next risk. And this is where people start playing smaller. Not because they choose to, but because they've made the outcome mean too much about themselves. And this mindset can severely limit you in both life and business, as you can't win big if you're always playing not to lose. That's why upgrading someone's identity is one of the biggest things I work on with clients, is the way they think and view themselves impacts far more than they realize, because it can affect everything from what you try to the things you take on, how you respond when something doesn't go your way, as well as how you show up in everything that you do. Because if every setback feels like a threat to who you are, of course you'll hesitate more, you'll overthink, and start doubting yourself every time something doesn't land. The shift is learning to separate what happened from what it means about you. It's like if you make a decision and it's wrong or doesn't work out. That tells you something about the decision, not about your value as a person. That distinction can change everything, because once you make it, you can look at what went wrong honestly without becoming defensive, or you can take feedback without feeling attacked, and you can make the next move without carrying the full emotional weight of the last one and what happened with it. Because the way you see yourself directly affects how you lead, how you make decisions, and the way you operate. And if you don't separate your identity from a single result, then every bad outcome will start eroding your ability to think clearly, to trust yourself, and keep moving. That's why this one matters so much, because without it, all the others become harder to sustain. The reality is it's hard to see the battle when you're stuck in the trenches, though, especially when you have a tunnel vision about what's happening. That's why I find for a lot of people, they don't even realize how much their current way of thinking and operating is actually holding them back. The first step to solving any problem, though, is clarity. And that's why I created the CEO Evolution Assessment. It's a free diagnostic that in 7 minutes will help you uncover whether or not you're showing up as the leader your business needs, along with what needs to shift first. You can take it using the link in the description below. So those are 6 ways that CEOs think differently. They think in solutions, not problems. They think several steps ahead. They think in reversible and irreversible decisions. They focus on what they can influence. They see failure as information, and they separate their identity from a single outcome. None of these are traits that people are born with. They're patterns of thinking that can be learned, practiced, and developed over time. And the reason they matter so much is because the way you think affects everything from how you respond to the way you make decisions, how you lead, and ultimately what results you can create. Because the next level of your business usually doesn't just require better execution, it requires better thinking. And the same is true in every area of your life. I go deeper into how to develop this mindset and mental frameworks in my book, Think Like a CEO, and you can get it on Amazon globally. I'd love to hear your thoughts on this video though. Which of these ways of thinking do you think are limiting you right now, and which do you need to start working on to help you get to the next level? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this video, please give it a like and hit the subscribe button, as every week I put out new videos on how to become the leader your business needs. I've been Byron Morrison. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.